Hi everyone, it's Shannon here and welcome to Card Crafters Collaborative Video Hop. This month's theme is Fresh Beginnings, and today I'm going to create this fun spring card featuring several products from Hero Arts. We're going to start with this gorgeous die. This is the Floral Wreath Fancy die, and we're going to die cut it out of some green cardstock here from Hero Arts. Both are from Hero Arts. The cardstock is Kiwi, or nice pretty light green. After I've die cut that wreath out, I'm going to take this darker green ink, happens to be pine, and just ink blend kind of the base of all the leaves. Now because the leaves are kind of close together, some of the leaves are going to get a lot of green, some a little bit less, but I'm mostly just trying to get the stem and the base of the leaf. And I'm calling the base of the leaf is where the leaf meets the stem. So I'm just going to work my way around here, ink blending a little bit of this pine at those bases of the leaves. It's okay if you get this ink on the flowers. We're going to cover those up. And the point is here just to get some of that dark green on here to create some gradations, to add a little bit more interest and depth to this wreath. So you definitely want to get some of this darker green on there, but not completely lose that lighter green of the paper. Now we're going to move on to a couple Copics. I have G07 and G14, and we're going to add some more details by coloring in the veins of the leaves. I'm starting with my lighter color, which is G14, and coloring in all the veins on all of the leaves in this wreath. This does take some time because there are a lot of leaves. And once I finish kind of working my way around here, coloring in all the leaves, we're going to grab the veins of the leaves. I'm not actually coloring in the leaves, just the veins. Then we're going to grab our darker marker, which is G07, and we're going to start to color the stems. So this is really going to create a lot of contrast. This green Copic is even darker than the pine ink that we ink blended earlier, and it's just going to really start to push those stems back even further and add just a lot more depth. I'm going to continue to work my way around here. If you may have noticed this whole time, I've left the die cut in the negative of the panel, and that's just to make it easier to color. It will pop out later, and we'll do that in a minute. Now I'm going to take the Floral Wreath die and die cut it out of some white cardstock, and we're going to color, and this is going to be all of our flowers. So for this wreath, we're actually going to discard all of the leaves and actually only keep the flowers. I've started with a couple yellows here. We're going to color the centers of these daisy-like flowers, starting with Y15, coloring in the center really quickly, and then I'll grab my darker yellow, which is YR23, and just add a little shadow to the bottom of the flower centers just to kind of make them look a little domed and rounded. I do take my lighter yellow and go back over that darker just to kind of blend out the transition between the two. And now we're going to move on to some different flowers. I have these smaller flowers that are kind of like V-like shaped. I'm going to color them first with YR00, a really light orange, and then I'll move on to YR02, add a little bit of this darker orange to the base of the leaves, the base of the flowers, and then I'll take that lighter orange and kind of blend out the transition so we have a nice little gradation over these V-shaped kind of flowers, or triangular shaped flowers. Now I'm going to go ahead and fussy cut these out. So I'm going to start with the daisies and kind of cut them out, just kind of go around the petals to kind of create the rounded edge wherever the petals would kind of overlap or interlace with the stems of the leaves. I kind of just fake the corner of that and just continue to work my way around here, cutting and separating out all those daisies and those triangular, I should just stick with V-shaped flowers. Once I finish with the last bit of flowers here, I'm going to actually move on to the tulips. I guess these are kind of tulips. I'm going to stick with calling them tulips for this video, even though they're probably not. I'm going to ink blend them in this light pink ink. This is Peony. Going to create a little gradation over them. They're a little bit larger, and because there's plenty of leaves still left on these die cuts, they're easy to kind of hold on to as you ink blend the base of these tulip-like flowers. Once I finish ink blending them, I will fussy cut those out as well. Just going to grab my scissors. These ones are really easy to cut out. In fact, actually all of them are easy to cut out except for the daisies. The daisies are a little bit trickier just because some of the petals overlap where a leaf would be, so you can have to just fake where that petal would end. And now we're ready to glue these on. So I'm just going to glue them up where they match. I did kind of pre-figure out where they go and then just put them off to the side so it's made it quick and easy to line these up. Just add a little dab of glue and then pop them back on. You can see here how pretty this wreath looks with these beautiful flowers, especially like the pop of the white kind of daisy-like flowers. I like that contrast a lot. Now we're going to take some craft foam and actually die cut it with that floral wreath die. I'm going to run it through my die cutting machine, and this is going to create some dimension that perfectly matches, will perfectly fit behind our floral wreath, because there's a lot of really thin areas in our floral wreath that would be a bit tricky to add foam adhesive, foam tape to the back. You can see here that it just pops right out. So I just have a piece of white craft foam that I ran through with the die with my die cutting machine. And now that I've ran it through, I did leave the inside negative in place there just because it kind of held everything in the right shape, popped out the rest of it around the craft foam floral wreath, added a little bit of glue to all of the leaves and flowers, and then I placed my paper die cut right on top. And now I'm just taking some time here to really line up my paper die cut with the craft foam die cut so they are perfectly lined up. So I'm just working my way around that wreath and making sure everything's lined up. Then I'll grab a plate from my die cutting machine and just place it on top while that glue sets and dries a little bit. Now we're going to move on to the butterfly foliage fancy dies. There's actually a grass die in that set as well, but we're just going to use the butterflies, and I'm going to die cut them out of white cardstock and then quickly color them with our orange Copics that we used earlier for the flowers, starting with YR00, coloring all the wings of the butterfly with that light orange. And then I'll move on to YR02 and color the tips of the wings to create a little gradation. I think this is so pretty. I don't actually color the bodies of these butterflies at all. I just left them white, but you definitely could color them black if you prefer. In fact, we actually do bring in black into our palette, so it would be really nice to color the bodies in black as well. So once those are colored, I'm going to move on to our sentiment. I have the Smile Friend Stampin' Cut XL. I went ahead and die cut that friend out of white cardstock. Now we're going to move on to our sub sentiment. I have this I Appreciate You stamp set. It's really, really great sentiments in this set. I'm going to stamp it onto some black cardstock. So I did apply some anti-static powder because I'm going to heat emboss. I inked up my sentiment in unicorn pigment ink. This has become my new favorite way, thanks to my friend Mindy, on how to do my white embossing. I love the way it looks and it's so crisp. So I just stamped it a couple times, and the unicorn white pigment ink from Hero Arts, dipped it into some detail white embossing powder, and then of course heat set with my heat tool. And then the anti-static powder I used was from Rabbit Hole. It's a really great anti-static bag as well, or anti-static tool rather. Now we're going to move on to our background. I have this rain texture bold print stamp from Hero Arts. I'm going to place it in my Misty. I did remove my foam first, and then I'm going to place a two panel of Kiwi cardstock down into my Misty. I actually have a little bit of tape on my Misty there so that my cardstock will stay in place while I stamp it. So actually a little bit of adhesive at the bottom of my Misty holds that card stock in place, and then I just inked up the stamp in Kiwi ink and stamped it, so kind of tone on tone, very light, very subtle, because we have a lot going on with our floral wreath. Then I rotated my panel around 90 degrees. I'm going to ink up my stamp again and stamp it over that panel, and that's going to kind of create this like crisscross panel, crisscross design, almost like a weave-like texture to our background. I really love the way this looks, and I love it's a great way to kind of change up the look of that rain texture stamp so you can get kind of more use out of it. Now I'm going to go ahead and adhere it to an A2 top folding white card base, so we're kind of bringing it all together here. I just use my liquid adhesive, line it up. Then I'll grab that beautiful wreath and add some liquid adhesive to the backside. And if you remember, that wreath is backed up with a craft foam die cut of the wreath, so it has some dimension, and it's just going to pop up and create some beautiful shadows on our card front. As Laura Basson says, dimension is life, and she is not wrong. It just adds so much. Now we're going to move on to our butterflies, and I'm going to add a little bit of liquid adhesive to the body of the butterflies, kind of pop up the wings so they're dimensional. I don't want to add any adhesive to the wings, just to the body, so they can I can fold them a little bit and they can have some nice shadows as well. And then we'll finish with our friend die cut. I've added foam adhesive to the backside, and I doubled up the foam adhesive with the middle letters, the I, E, and part of the N. That's going to add some extra support to that center, which has no foam adhesive, no additional foam adhesive from the wreath. So kind of have to compensate for the part of the friend that overlaps the reef and the part that doesn't. Then for the sub-sentiment, I added some foam adhesive, also doubled up the center of that sentiment so it has plenty of support. And here is the final look. I love the way this turned out. Lots of dimension, beautiful, bright, fresh spring colors. I think perfect for the Fresh Beginnings theme of this video hop. If you guys haven't had a chance yet, make sure you check out the rest of the incredible video makers in this Card Crafters Collaborative hop. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you again soon.